Lauren DeFilippo is a Brooklyn-based director and producer. She makes films about visionaries, outliers, and overlooked places. One of DeFilippo's films, Drive-In Jesus, or otherwise known as Clean Hands, portrays one Sunday service at the Deoda Beach Drive-In Christian Church that has been offering services from the convenience of your car since 1953. Throughout this analysis, the research mode of this film will be uncovered with evidence of the documentary content and style. Drive-In Jesus can be identified mainly with the observational mode of documentary. Nichols explains that observational documentary is created when filmmakers abandon all of the forms of control over the staging, arrangement, or composition of a scene and instead choose to observe lived experiences spontaneously, honoring the spirit of observation in post-production, editing, and during the shoot. Observational documentary mode techniques are used to benefit us as viewers as we make inferences and come to conclusions on the basis of behavior we observe and overhear. The filmmaker's retirement to the position of observer calls on the viewer to take more of an active role in determining the significance of what is said and done. Drive-In Jesus has used many observational techniques, such as the lingering captures of real events at authentic locations with no input from the subjects through interviews. However, some snippets of unconventional supplementary music and unsynced sound that allows heavy edits to the Sunday sermon message are present and reveal potential ethical issues within this truthful cinema piece, as a completely accurate representation of the real-life events that occurred. The content of this film includes the subject being a drive-in church, the narrative which supposedly follows a typical Sunday service, and the message of how a seemingly unconventional church operates. The content is represented mainly through the camera roving over the vast lawn of worshippers, tuning into 88.5 FM and watching Pastor Bob Kemp Baird preach. The camera lingers on the congregation members' facial expressions and the activities they undertake in their cars while listening to the sermon. Shots such as the Asian man and the short-haired blonde woman are unlikely couple engaging with the sermon achieve the observational mode desires through the extended shot techniques, which persuades audiences to draw their own deep conclusions about the subjects captured. Through DeFilippo's previous work, it can be seen that she usually produces expository or participatory films, such as Lockport, The Hereafter, and Eldridge Street Museum. However, Drive-In Jesus seems to stand alone in DeFilippo's repertoire with a large focus on the observational mode. Drive-In Jesus seems to be portrayed by a fairly bland style with desaturated colours and natural lighting and the occasional shaky hand-held shots from inside the car that attempts to communicate to the viewers that what they are watching is real. Nichols describes that observational documentaries are used to deploy a style that aspires to immediacy and transparency. This, however, is contradicted in DeFilippo's editing style with the supplementary sci-fi toned music. This music is powerfully influential to an audience and portrays the church with a particular negative or alien-like tone and is not an unbiased representation of this event or conventional for observational documentaries. DeFilippo also showcases her unique style by showing the audience that the subject being filmed looks at the camera. This is a choice made quite far away from the conventional observational mode. However, this arguably adds to the film by showing its audience these people are aware of their actions and being filmed. It helps us to remember that we are not watching actors, we are observing real people in their normal Sunday service situations. This can be seen in a shot of a lady staring at the camera after she takes communion. The style, mode, and content of this film have a large impact on the way this church is perceived by the audience. The content has been heavily influenced by the style of the filmmaker, and both in turn use the mode's techniques to portray an overall semi-accurate representation of this church. Due to the sermon having been cut down and it operating as an unconventional voiceover, there is no guarantee that what we see on screen is sync sound for that part of the film. For example, a shot that can be seen as persuading for the negative, uninterested tone towards religion is the lady supposedly on her phone during the middle of the sermon. This content filmed with the promised truth-filled mode could falsely portray the real-life events that happened. An interview with the director shows that most people enjoy this church because of the easy access it provides for them in a church community if they are suffering with physical ailments or grief or the desire to have their pets accompany them at church. The interview also portrays that there is a community aspect of this church, but none of this is clearly communicated in the film due to its content, style, and mode used. Lauren DeFilippo's Driving Jesus is an observational documentary with some unconventional techniques for this mode present. The content captured in this film is heavily influenced by her own style and is not a guaranteed accurate representation of a typical Sunday service at the Deoda Beach Drive-In Christian Church. The film content shows traditions associated with Christianity, such as the taking of communion and offering of tithes, but through editing the sermon message down, DeFilippo's style of showing these shots and not the full sync sound of this church service can impact the audience's ability to have complete control over their ability to draw their own conclusions about this event, and skews the mode's potential for true observational reality and accurate documented communication.